This is what we do on a daily basis, day in and day out, looking at data, trying to figure out what it is that's working in Spokane, Washington, all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and seeing how we can really cater to clients to deliver the best information possible to them and the best results to them, and the information back to you through these webinars and through the education. So excited to get into it today.
What's going on, everyone? How you doing, Thad?
I'm doing pretty good. I like how your beer cracking got into it just before I hit the intro button there.
It was perfectly timed. It was great.
It was great. It's like you almost planned to do that.
Maybe there might have been some strategy behind it. Who knows? We'll leave that up for interpretation. But today, welcome to the webinar for everyone that is attending live. Go ahead and throw live in the chat if you want to. But we're excited to give some value today, give some knowledge around conversion rate optimization. Because at the end of the day, SEO rankings are fantastic. You want to be ranking, you want to be able to generate phone calls, you want to be able to get people to come to your website. But if the people who are coming to your website are not ending up into phone calls, ending up into web forms, web chats, online bookings, getting on your calendar, then it doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is how to get more people who are coming to your website to actually end up booking a call with you.
Right. And you think about what's the goal of a website is literally just that. It's the ability to get somebody to take an action on your site, a specific action. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a phone call, depending on what you're optimizing your website for. Obviously, in our case, home service business, guess what? You're going to be wanting to optimize for somebody to pick up that phone and call you, or do a form fill. In different industries have higher levels of phone calls versus form fills too, kind of depending on what you're after. So that's a big part of it.
It definitely is, right? And knowing that intention is important, and having that expectation both with your marketing company and internally is incredibly important. So we're going to get into that today.
Cool.
We dive into the slide deck first?
Sure.
All right, giddy up. SEO rankings and user experience. It is a blend between the two. And when I think of SEO rankings, because that's something that I focused on heavily when we first started our agency, and I've been able to fire myself from that role as we continue to hire and bring on more and more experts onto our team. It was always important to me to make sure that the user experience was at the forefront with the rankings. And that's the hard part about designing a website, is that you need to be thinking about both the end user and Google simultaneously. And being able to serve both of them extremely well is difficult, and it is a challenge. And so we've been able to master some of those skills throughout the years, and we're going to bring some of that knowledge to you here today. So when we look at the agenda, you want to run through that?
Yeah, you got it. I'll do most of the talking later on. So
we're going to be diving into user experience, the importance of a website. Website speed is incredibly important, as a lot of you know. It's been talked about over the last couple of years as well. The navigation, making it easy for someone to use, conversion rate optimization, SEO rankings and the importance of that, how it all ties in back together. And then the exciting part, the part that I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to, the toaster roast, where we asked for some submissions this week from different businesses in the home service space to submit their websites, where we will either give them a big toast at the end, or we might deliver some roasting as we're going through it. So I'm excited.
That's going to be a fun part of it. And I know I've got 5 websites queued up. So hopefully we get enough time to go through all 5 that were submitted. And there's a few more that were submitted, and I literally randomly chose them. And fun fact, I chose one of our own websites to toast or roast to.
Giddy up. And yes, we will be very fair on that. And we may even roast our own site. All right. So when it comes to user experience and mastering that, Thad, what do you think are some of the key points that you look for in a website in order to really provide a very exceptional user experience and user-friendly user experience?
Well, literally, I mean, the words are almost right there, on my for me, right? When you think about what goes into a website, and it's the user experience, and you think about the congruency here. And now, obviously, we can talk about the performance metrics that are on there, the essentials of a responsive design, making websites appealing for various devices. That's part of it. but there's also a continuity that goes through the entire process of a website. You think about if somebody sees your brand driving around, you look out your window and you see the van across the road, and then they search your business and then they land on your website. That's part of the user experience. Now, that website needs to match what they've seen in terms of the brand and the vehicle that's out there, right? So if you have a Dan Antonelli Kick Charge brand, for example, one that's very well done, and then you go to a website that looks like dog shit, where's the brand continuity, right? And that's part of the user experience. I mean, conversely, if you have a non-Dan Antonelli brand and you go to a website that is absolutely amazing, that looks phenomenal, well, there's a disconnect there too, right? And so making sure that there's a bridge between that. And by the way, even if you have the white van with basic lettering, you can still have a very well done, professional, clean website. Okay. What I'm talking about is if you have red and blue lettering on your van and you go to a website that doesn't have any red or blue. Okay, well, where's
There's
your
a disconnect.
Woody, right? There's a disconnect on there. And in terms of you thinking about, the responsive design and the elements that goes into this user experience, you got to take a look at, okay, well, where are people coming onto the website from? Are they on a mobile device? Are they on a tablet? Are they on a laptop? Are they on a giant 24 or 35-inch monitor, right? And thinking about all of these different sizes and resolutions that you build on, right? I mean, so there's almost like 4 different resolutions in a sense. I mean, you got your 4K ultra wide, you've got your standard computer monitor, you've got a tablet, and then you've got a phone. And making sure that you're matching this responsiveness that's on there. But you think about this, right? I'm going to hold up my cell phone right here, right? You think about most consumers, right? Thinking about that individual and the user experience and where they're coming from. Is your website optimized for where they're coming from?
Well,
average,
and that begs the question of,
right?
do you even know where your users are coming from?
Right.
Do you have that information? Do you have, like, what tool would someone want to put on their website in order to get that?
Google Analytics, 100%. Google Analytics
Yeah.
can track where they're coming from. They got the demographics that are on there, but also the mobile devices. It also shows you what type of a device they're coming on as well. Generally speaking, this is a rough estimate based on some anecdotal data that I remember looking at a couple months ago. Was about 60%, 50 to 6% of traffic is mobile, roughly, for HVAC and home services. Now, some markets are going to be higher, 70, 80%. Some are going to be lower, right? And if you're in commercial, it's probably going to be even lower than that because you think about who's the user that's going on there. Generally, property managers who are on a computer, right? And so understanding that aspect and looking at your Google Analytics data to be able to know where are they coming from and where do I need to optimize my site the most. I mean, it should be all optimized, but.
Well, and this is where it's fun too, when you start thinking of, what pages are people viewing what devices on, right? So if I'm looking at your blog page because I searched, why is this one room in my house so hot in the summer? Well, that's going to go to one of your blog posts. Is that going to be on a phone or is that going to be on a desktop? And then optimizing your blogs towards that versus someone searching for AC repair near me. Is that more on the phone or on a desktop? And then optimizing for that. I think that's an incredible point as well. And again, through Google Analytics, you're able to see this data. They give it all to you. They make it really easy. You just have to look at it.
And spoiler alert, a good website company. I mean, if you're building this yourself, okay. These are things to keep in mind. A good marketing company, On Purpose Media, will build both a desktop and a mobile design. So look at how we do ours, and then optimize for both, right? So that way you don't have to take the guesswork. The guesswork's gone, right? So if somebody's searching for that blog post and they happen to be on a mobile device or computer, it doesn't matter, right? They're still going to be optimized. It's still going to be delivered. It's still going to be dialed in for it. Here's another tool that somebody can use to match your user experience when you're looking at it. Microsoft Clarity. Guess what? It's free. Okay. It's a heat mapping signal. So if you want to see what your user experience is like, and maybe we'll get into this when we talk a little bit more about the navigation with ease, from it. So I was just looking at the slide. So we will talk a little bit later on what Microsoft Clarity can do. But it's also part of the
So if we were to take one action step here for a home service company, and let's say they've hired a marketing company, they're working with a marketing company, what's one thing that they should be doing or one question that they can ask their marketing company that's going to help them with this specific point?
Well, one thing that you can easily do is go look at your website on a laptop and then look at it on a phone and click and play around to make sure that it's optimized for that. If you have access to a tablet, do the exact same thing. There's tools that are out there that you can show what it looks like, and it's 90% accurate, 99% accurate for the most part. I think one of them is called mobile. I'll show it when we do the toast or roast part of things on what the Chrome extension is, but just look at it on your phone. That's a big one. And even if you're wanted to ask that question, just say, hey, what's my Google Analytics? Do you have that installed on my site? So that way we know where users are coming from. Those would be two things.
Yeah, and even just asking point blank, are most of the users coming to our site on mobile or desktop? And getting that information back, and then asking, okay, what are we doing to optimize that traffic?
Yep.
Sweet. Next up is website speed. What is the importance of this? Why does this matter? Why should I care about it?
Right. And you should care about it as a user. When you think about website speed, excuse me, when you think about website speed and why is it key? Google kind of sort of doesn't really care much about your website speed. I know, fun fact, right? And people are like, what? I thought Google does. Well, they do in a sense. They care about user experience, right?
Yep.
You look at Google's EAT strategy, the EEAT, when you talk about building in this expertise, authority, and trust, and I always forget what the extra E is that they added in there. But when you think of experience, there we go. So there's the experience, right? And so you think about all those four things. Well, that's page speed, right? Consumers know that the stat is trying to find it and look it up. I know that the stat is roughly for every second above 2 seconds of page speed load time, you lose about 20%. Okay, so 2 seconds is the consumer's benchmark. Google generally uses 3 seconds, but the consumers are 2 seconds. And this is why speed is important. If you go to a website, think about this yourself. Put yourself in a consumer's point of view, and you go to a website and you type in AC repair on Google or anything else for that matter, and you go to a website and you're sitting there and you're waiting for it to load. You're waiting for it to load. You're waiting for it to load. You're gone, right? You leave because it's taking too long. We're in an instant gratification society. We want things like that, okay? Especially when you have fast internet. So people have like a gigabyte per second. Like, Mom, I use my internet. Well, not so much anymore, right? So when you reduce the amount of load time, it actually keeps users on your page for a lot longer because they want that quick experience, and that's why page speeds matter for doing it. That's it. It's simple, quick and to the point, right? You think about some of the tools and strategies, right? We'll talk about that later in the toast or roast.
Well, and real easy. Google it, right? Page speed test. And then you just put in your URL. We'll show you that during the toast or roast, but that's literally all you have to do. Google page speed test, and it'll come up and you can put in your URL.
Yep.
And the other thing is actually just do it. Just go to your site and see how fast it loads. The only caveat there is this thing called caching, where it will help a website to load faster if you've been to it before. So it's that first visit. That's what you want to see. So go into incognito mode, go on a different device, and search up your website and see how fast it loads.
Yep. Good old steamboats. That's a good way to be able to look at doing that. So good old tried, tested, and true method. How many steamboats does it take for your website to load? I actually had a comment on that on somebody's on a Facebook one day, and somebody was like, well, good to know that out of all of these technological metrics, steamboats is still the tried, tested, and proven
Mississippi's
method, right? Mississippi, steamboats, however you want to say it. So, all right.
Website navigation, being able to navigate the website. One of the things that I think about when it comes to this is the age of the user.
My bad. Click the wrong button.
So when we're talking about
another tab, that's my bad.
It's all good. So when navigating a website, what are the things that we should be thinking about? What should we be focused on? What are the questions that we should ask our marketing company?
Sure. There's almost like 10 different things that I can think of off the top of my head. Actually, that's in the handout, but number one is just keeping it simple and intuitive, right? When you think about that, you look at sites when you go on there, and we've always heard in sales, a confused mind says no. Yep. Well, on a website, a confused mind also says no. If they don't know where their eyes are going to be looking, if you go on and you're like, holy fuck, you're gone, right? You can't find anything. And so that's just this KISS theory of keep it simple, stupid. Right. And using familiar terms on your menu, right? And we'll go over in greater detail on what some of these look like on the Toast of the Roasted stage, but that's one of them, right? Second one is to when you look at navigation is prioritizing your content hierarchy, right? When you think about this and you think about your content, what are the first things that you want your user to see when they land on a website? We call this above the fold. This is an old newspaper term that, and when you think about the newspapers, they have to unfold, right? When you look at that first thing that's on the very top fold, that's what they're wanting to draw people into to be able to pick up the newspaper. Well, it's the exact same thing in terms of building a website. And you have to think on your mobile device, different sizes too, by the way, of mobile devices. Some people get the iPhones that are like freaking tablets on your side of your face, or some people get the Google Pixel that's actually a normal size phone. Until where my allegiances
I feel like
lie.
we're almost going back to the old days when you needed a strap across your shoulder to carry the
Right.
phone because it was so big on your back. But
right, I remember having I actually got a Samsung phone, and I went away from the Samsung to an iPhone. It was like iPhone 4 or some shit, because it was super small, and then they just got bigger. And now I'm on the Google Pixels, and I like them. But anyways, but you think about your content hierarchy, right? Now, when they scroll down, what is the next thing you want them to see? And then after they scroll down more, what is the next thing that you want them to see? And thinking through this in an appropriate manner to put yourself in the user's experience, right? And branching that continuity as well from what their search term was. So if they're searching AC repair or furnace repair or ductless units or whatever, insert emergency plumbing repair, all these terms, you want to make sure that the content matches that as well. So there's that hierarchy and the continuity. Also, consistency across the website. Another big one, the navigation cues and the navigation things that are consistent. If you go from one page, land another, and it changes on the top on the menu bar, not good. If you go to another page and it changes again, not good. If you can't find things on new pages, again, not good. So consistency across the website build, also super important. This one, I mean, drop down menus, and some people will clutter them up. You can also do something called a mega menu on a website, so you can release some of that clutter. But when you think about drop down menus, and I mean, some people will get like 20, 25, 30 services. Well, if you put a menu and then you click and you drop down to another one, but then you got to hover over to go to another menu, and then you got to hover over to go to another menu, that's a bad user experience. So how many menu hovers do you have to go over? My general rule, what I personally like, one, and that's it. From the top menu, one drops down, and that's all you have. Okay. Two at most. My personal preference is just one because it simplifies things, right?
Yep.
Another one is making links and buttons finger friendly. I said finger friendly, right? Not clickable, finger friendly. Think about it's funny when you see individuals who have poor eyesight. Let's just put it nicely here. Their font is increased on their phone. It's big. And a lot of times they're texting with one finger, right? And it's kind of funny to watch because I mean we grew up with we're thumbers, right? But it's blown up and it's bigger, right? And so making sure that if the website doesn't get blown up, that they can easily click those buttons. They don't have to like enlarge or enhance and then click it, or click on something and it goes to another page, or like, fuck, I wish I didn't go to that page. Stupid buttons, right? Think about that when
they're spaced out far enough.
Correct.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think bigger websites. I like this on if you had an e-commerce site, for example, or if you had an extensive blog library, something that has a search function on it. By and large, 97% of the home services sites, in my opinion, don't necessarily need one, but it's something to just keep in mind if you do have a lot of content, or if you have an e-commerce
maybe on the blogs.
store. Yeah. I don't think you need it on the whole site, but definitely on blogs if you have a lot, or if you're using an e-commerce product like Contractor Commerce or something where they might want to search for something. I believe that's built into Contractor Commerce anyways. And so you have that already on there, right? And so they've already thought about that because it's e-commerce, okay? The mobile navigation is the last one that I'll touch on here. And then there's a couple others, but I think we'll just talk about that when we do the toaster roast. When you think about mobile navigation, in a lot of the menus on a desktop site are different than what they look like on a mobile site just because of space. So you have to think and this goes back to that previous point of having optimizations for 2 different sites. All right, one for desktop, one for mobile. The way that the user interacts on the phone is different than they interact on the desktop. And so making sure that the navigational components are done right and done easy. A biggest, easiest one to do is making sure you have a good click to call button. So when they're on their phone and they can click the button to call, it just pops up automatically, right? If you don't have a click to call button or phone number that is clickable, you lost a lot of people.
Right. Well, and that's where there are some basic, general, common practices when it comes to building a site to make it easy for people to go to, right? Things like having your logo go back to your homepage if someone clicks on it. It's a pretty common known thing. Not everyone knows it, but most people know that if you click the logo, it goes back to your homepage. Really simple navigational thing. Having a chat button in the bottom right corner of your page when you're on a cell phone. Having a menu that's in the hamburger option, which is the 3 lines on a mobile device. Those are common practices that are across just about every website that exists on the internet. Here's a question for you though. When it comes to some of the big brands that have invested heavy amounts of dollars into their websites, like I'm talking the Apples of the world, right? How much should a local business be looking at sites like that and thinking, oh, I want to implement some of those ideas on my website?
Loaded question. I would probably say not very often.
Agreed. Why?
Okay. It just their market is different. Their consumer is different, and that's the biggest thing. You look at an Apple website, and their product of what they're pushing to is a completely different market. Fuck, go to McDonald's website, same thing, right? Completely different market. Whereas a home service business, your market isn't every single person in the world. It's your backyard, and that's what you have to focus on, and that's why. There's some elements that from a design component make sense, but you're also not a technology company either. When I think about we had Ryan Schutte on, and he actually commented on the Toaster Roasted. He said, "Don't hold back." I actually went to their site, and I love their site. It was absolutely stunning and phenomenal. I like the wizard stick that was moving around and how it flowed and how it scrolled down and how it looked cool. But when you think about a marketing agency, I would want them to have a really nice site that look cool, especially a creative agency like what they do. Okay? If I'm going to a home service provider, I don't need fancy. I want to be able to easily solve my problem.
Exactly. And that's it. And where this question came from, it was in one of the groups where there was another marketer who suggested, taking ideas from these sites. And I completely disagreed with it because like you said, it's a different user experience and a different goal, right? When you think of a company like Apple, they're trying to get people to either buy their software or their hardware online, right? Buying a phone, buying a computer, or they're trying to just send them to a store where they're going to end up buying the piece of equipment, right? So there's completely different goal there compared to what it is that we're trying to do for home service businesses, and a completely 100%. Different problem we're trying to solve. Sweet. Conversion rate optimization, and essentially it's kind of tying all of this into it. But what do you think of when you think of conversion rate optimization, or CRO?
Yeah, CRO. Look, this is somebody posted this in one of our mastermind mentor groups that we're part of for On Purpose Media, of ways to look at enhancing conversion rate optimization. And there's tons of things that go into this. Really goes back to what's your goal, right? Well, it's to convert somebody on a website. And so there's certain things that a person must have, in my opinion, to be able to enhance the conversion rate optimization on there. Number one is a book online button. Should you offer book online services? So if you're with somebody like Sarah or any of the other ones that are out there that have the book online capabilities and the functionalities behind it, you need to be putting a big old button on there that says book online, and it needs to redirect directly to that. Another one is a big old phone number. Now, especially important on desktop is making sure that it's big and pronounced. So if somebody can easily see that they land on here and they're not having to search around to find a phone number to call you, you think about the problem that a consumer has when they land on a plumbing website. Well, they might have a plumbing leak. Their toilet might be overflowing and there's shit all over their floors. They don't want to hunt around to find your phone number. They want to be able to easily find it. Hey, does this company look great? Cool. Awesome. I'm calling them. Oh, cool. Can you be there? Right now we're talking about something else once somebody calls you, but they want to be able to easily phone that number. Same thing with an AC repair that's broken, a furnace repair that's broken. My blower motor went in my furnace last week. I called I mean, I had a couple clients that we work with. And so I called one of them first. He answers like, yep, not a problem. I'll be there within whatever. Right. I mean, luckily I knew his phone number, but we also built his website, know how easy it is for people to find his phone number because my blower motor was gone and it's winter. Right. Think about your consumer and what their actions are. Not everybody's going to want to make a phone call. Not everybody's going to want to book online. So the other part is directing them to a chat widget. Do you have that chat widget that pops up on the bottom right-hand side of the screen? Right? Is it there? Is it pronounced? Is it there? Can people interact with that easily? Is there a form fill that is easily
Do you actually
findable?
respond?
Right?
Do you
That's the
actually
other part.
respond to your chats that come in?
Yeah. That's a different conversation for a different day. But when you think about form fills, right? Is a form fill easily findable and solvable to be able to submit their information in and get a callback? Now, obviously, when they submit their information in, there's ways to enhance that conversion, which is more of the offline components of things. So when they submit that form, do they get an email right away saying, hey, thank you for your submission. A member of our team will be in touch with you right away, and a text message as well, right? If you're not using that text message capabilities, there's platforms that do it, and then you'll be able to leverage and put that in place. Now, obviously, depending on if you have the platform and if you're willing to manage the responses back to that text message. If you're not willing to manage the responses back to that text message, don't put that in because it's going to hurt your conversions. Right. Those are some of those offline things that are going to help your conversions on your website. But again, those are kind of the easy, basic ones that I think of, right? When you go to the contact page, and somebody recently mentioned this to me, and we changed our designs as a result of when you go to that contact page, they don't care if there's text in the front of the contact us page. They just want your fucking phone number, right? Or an email or form fill. Right. That's it. Those are the three things. So put that at the very top of the page and then put the text on the bottom if you need to. Right. So thinking about those different things. But here's the other part of it too, is if you're doing this yourself, well, first off, I don't recommend or encourage you to ever build a website yourself, just the same way that you guys don't encourage or recommend me to work on my furnace or my AC or my plumbing fixture. Okay, fixture's different, but hot water tank, right? Not going to work on that shit. I'm not going to do my own roof. Like there's things that I'll do myself, but there's things that I won't because there's damage that are a result of it. I don't recommend building your own website. Okay? There's a lot of things that go into this. Webinar is proof in the pudding. Forget where I was going to go. Oh, testing. So testing these things, right? How do you get better at conversion rate optimization? How do you get better at making sure that people are converting on your website? Well, you test it and you A/B test it, or you change one variable at a time. This is another thing. If you're testing your conversion rate optimizations, change one thing and that's it. That's your control, right? You can control that one thing. Some people will change 5 things and their conversion rate goes up, but they don't know what one of those things resulted in the conversion rate going up. So you test it, you see the data. Okay, it increased. Now you want to test something else. Great. You change that one thing, see what the data tells you. If it goes down, okay, maybe revert that back, right? So now you actually know when you're testing, you're rinse, lathering, and repeating.
Well, and going back to the Microsoft Clarity thing that you mentioned earlier, are you testing based off of and changing based off of factual information that you have, or just off of a feeling, right? I would rather be right to what was the saying? I don't want to be right to my own demise versus wrong to my prosperity, right? I'm okay with being wrong. If my opinion is not factual based off the information that I see, if I run Microsoft Clarity and I can see the heat map, I can see how the visitors to my website, their mouse is moving across the page, where they're stopping, where they're reading, different pieces of information like that. Now I can make a decision based off of what I am seeing, not what I am feeling. You want to take your own feelings out of the equation because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Somebody asked me, when does my opinion on something change? And I told them, well, when the facts change. I'm like, what? I'm like, well, if the facts change, my opinion will change. The facts dictate opinion for the most, I mean, in this case, right? Now, sometimes there's a feeling opinion, but this is a factual opinion. And there's tools out there that give you that data. We've already talked about them, Google Analytics, right? Microsoft Clarity, so you can actually see the interactions on your site. There's more, but those are some basic ones.
At the end of the day, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and some of them stink.
Most of them probably do. Be real here.
SEO rankings. We did a webinar on this previously last month, so highly recommend going back and looking over that if you wanted to dive deeper into the SEO rankings. how does this tie into conversion rate optimization?
Oh, great question. And you think about, I'm just going to go on the basic level. My skill set is not SEO in our business. My skill set is the website department, because that's what I started with, and that's what we've ran with. And so when you think about principles on a website and conversion rate optimization, if you search AC repair, or you search plumbing repair, or you search roofing repair, whatever the keyword is that you're searching for, when you see that down in the search results, that should almost be the first thing that, the blue part, right? The blue text that's underlined, right? You should see that keyword for the most part as one of the first things that you see on there. Okay? And then your company name. Okay? And I'll talk about this in some of the examples on the Toasted or Roasted. That's where you should see that. Now, when you click on that and you land on the page, remember what I talked about being above the fold earlier? Well, that keyword that you search for, that you saw in the big blue underlined text, should also be above the fold and be one of the first things that you see on the web page. Right now, you're blending this consumer experience and this user experience all the way through SEO to be able to have those search rankings. And then Google likes that too, by the way, not just because, again, they're after the consumer's experience.
Yeah. Well, and this is where that blend comes in, right? Because if you have, yes, you want to have AC repair in the text on the title tag, which is that part on there. You want to have it in the meta description, which is the small paragraph underneath. This is on the Google search result page.
Yep.
And then you want to have it in your title on your website when someone lands on it. But the user experience side of it, they don't care about the AC repair part. Okay, great. I know you do AC repair. How are you making them feel? And this is where the conversion rate optimization side of things comes in, because you want to be able to play to their emotions and let them know that you are a trusted provider in some way, shape, or form. And so adding in, Greensboro, North Carolina's most trusted AC repair, or the most trusted AC repair in Greensboro, North Carolina, or 900 5-star reviews for AC repair in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now you're providing trust back to the consumer that you know what it is that you're doing in some way, shape, or form, and you're trying to communicate based off of emotions and feelings to the consumer, and you're still stuffing that keyword in there, not overstuffing, but plugging that keyword in there in an effective way so you can play to Google's side as well.
Correct. And going on that is blending this all together, is making sure the content is also talking about what the search term was and matching what they went through for that whole experience. If you have AC repair and you start talking about plumbing repairs on the same page, not a good user experience, right? That doesn't help with the whole website conversions because they're confused, right? And we don't want to do that.
Correct.
Yes.
So without further ado,
Ooh, the toasted or roasted. All right.
the toast or roast. So before we get into this, I know you've got a quick disclaimer that you want to read through.
Yeah. All right. So me.
We need to get the things out of the way.
Before we dive into the heart of the discussion, we'd like to take a moment to share an important disclaimer. The opinions and comments expressed in this webinar for entertainment and educational purposes only. They reflect our personal views and are not intended to malign any organization, company, or individual. Our discussions, including any critiques or praises of websites, are based on subjective assessments and not definitive judgments of the quality, functionality, or overall character of websites in question. We recognize and respect the hard work and creativity that goes into website development, digital content creation. Nothing said during this portion of the webinar should be construed as legal, financial, or professional advice. We encourage our audience to conduct their own research and seek professional consultation for their specific needs. We aim to foster respectful and constructive dialogue and invite our audience to share their perspectives, understanding the diverse opinions of which our discussions. By watching this webinar, you acknowledge that the views expressed are for informational entertainment purposes only and agree not to hold a webinar hosts, speakers, or affiliates, and anybody connected to this, any direct or indirect damages arising from the use of information provided. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to an engaging, insightful session. Holy fuck. All right. Thank you.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, ChatGPT.
Oh man, that was impressive. So
I'm surprised that I read it that fast without fucking up. I mean, I can barely read my kids' books without fucking up at the end of the day, let alone, and that's just at a slow pace.
I was gonna say, if anyone's in need of auctioneers, Thaddeus is also applying for those jobs as well. No, this is going to be fun, and to also preface this, we are looking at conversion rate optimization when we're going through this. So this isn't going to be like an SEO audit or anything like that. We're focusing purely on the conversion rate optimization side of things, right? So looking at what it is that we can do or offer some feedback in terms of how you can get more people to do the action that you want them to do.
And also just the whole blending everything together into one, right? And so conversion rate optimizations, obviously, we're going to look at speed. We're going to look at the user experience. We're going to take a look at the very basic brief SEO things that we did talk about and we did mention, but I'm not going to look at the URL structure or your content hierarchy and your keyword density and all that shit. No, thanks. Not for today. So, all right.
Giddy up.
Cool. So we got this guy up here,
Now,
and I've got this
also
on
preface, speed generally is going to be slower because it is a screen share and we are streaming this live as well. So that's going to be a little bit skewed.
But I got a different way to be able to show actual page speeds itself.
Exactly.
So without further ado, and these are in no particular order, by the way, we have one of our own up here too. So we'll be doing that guy as well. So here we go. Let's dive into this one. So this is Synergy Heating and Cooling. And I left this, by the way, the bottom right thing on purpose. And I put this up here. Because I wanted to show this. Now, depending on where you're at or the state that you're in, etc., you may or may not need this. Sometimes you might not even need this at all, but it's a good thing to be aware of and note, or even have a disclaimer somewhere on the site that they see that they can accept or they can decline. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to accept that guy. And now we can see that we have a contact us here on there. So I actually really like that. And by the way, these are in no particular order either. So the contact us here at the bottom, I like that. I'm not going to fill this out because I don't want to mess up your stuff. So the other part, so one thing actually I just didn't like there, and by the way, I haven't interacted with any of these sites. I've taken a cursory overview. So this is straight up me going, cold turkey into this. I didn't like how this popped up again after I exited it already. So it popped up again. It was kind of odd. So when I land on this,
here's my question. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Thaddeus Tanya.
No, not you. I don't care about you.
I know
the business.
Yes, and this
right?
was what I was going to say next, right? And so you look at this as like you land on here. Well, I don't know what you do. I mean, I can guess because this guy's head isn't quite covering all of it. But and by the way, there's a lot I think that a person can do with the colors of this brand too. It's not the red and white, which I actually really like too, by the way. And so some of these guys will also be a lot more toast than roast. But I'll try to sprinkle in a lot more roast than toast. There we go. I'll try to sprinkle in some toasting on there. I love the colors of what can be done here on this, but I don't like what I land on this page of blending. Okay, well, what does this person actually do, right? The other part, I don't know if anybody saw this, but it did move out. So when this widget was open, the online store actually wasn't quite working. So on there, but the other part on this header is like the phone numbers here, and I find the phone numbers kind of a little bit blended in to this, and I'm having a tough time looking and finding it because it hides into the bottom. It is clickable, so I don't know if you guys can actually see that on the bottom of my screen. I don't actually believe you can because I'm screen sharing it. So the way that I have it set up, so when I hover over the bottom of the screen, I'm actually seeing a tell on the bottom left hand side, so I can actually see that it's a screen share. Yeah, you can see the link. I don't think you can see that on the screen share. I just see it out of the corner. So
you
that
cannot.
Yeah, so that I can tell it's a clickable link. If I click on it, I can also call from my phone too if I really wanted, but I'm not going to. So that would be a couple of things that I look at right on the very top of it. One of the other things, I'm going to copy this guy here. I actually have 3 different things we're going to look at from page speed insights. So we talked about earlier. This is it's just just Google page speed insights and you'll get that. So I'm going to run this guy. Another one, I tend to use it sometimes. I don't use it other times. It's kind of why is it not? Oh, I've reached my limit, so I can't use GT metrics apparently. So that would be why. So I wonder if I have another one that I can log into. Apparently I've got to delete some stuff. There we go. Let's try this one. So I'm going to run GT metrics. Google page speed is probably the creme de la crop. One other one, and I'll explain why I'm going to do this here in a second. So I'll come back while that runs. So, and we can talk a little bit about those. So looking at what we do, I do like coming down, and I do like seeing these things here on the bottom on what we do, because that's important, right? So somebody now, if you had, okay, here's what this company is, here's what it's all about, like the Synergy Heating and Cooling, and you can put in your conversion element, use your experience, reviews, trust, etc. Now you come down here and you have these, but these also aren't clickable, right? So if I go up here, there is a heating and furnace, and there's a cooling and AC page. but these aren't clickable. Actually, I think these might actually be redirects. Nope, they go back to there. So so these aren't clickable, right? So if a consumer wants to click on that, they want to see, okay, well, where am I going from here? I'm taking a look at those things. By the way, sticky header. I do like the sticky header up here as I scroll down. But one thing that I would like to see would be a phone number on the header at all times. That's where my opinion it
Well,
should be.
it's semi-transparent, so you can see the heading from what you do and like everything as you're
Yes.
scrolling, as
Yep.
opposed to it being solid to make it easy to read.
Yep. No, good point too. So, the more button, so big menu under the more, I'm fine with that. That's not because you're looking at heating and furnace, cooling, and AC. SEO thing. Find out if it's heating or furnace in your area and which is the biggest keyword, and then build off of
Yeah.
that. And then take a secondary one and build out a whole subset of things on the other keyword that has less traffic, right? Instead of confusing the two on here, just it's cleaner, it's simpler if you do it that way. The more about us, again, this is a button alignment thing. So the buttons are kind of out of alignment here. Small things, right? This is nitpicky. Okay. But you think about
That honestly, that thing drives me nuts every time that I
yes.
see it, and we've had some sites that have done that too, and it drives me
Yep.
nuts on there. Just not having the paragraphs line up and then not having the buttons line up, it drives me
Yep.
nuts.
Yeah.
That's
And
my
part of it,
OCD coming out.
well, I would agree with you, right? But part of it is you've got 4 sentences here, you've got 3 sentences here, you've got 5 here. Now, if I
Yep.
expand this out a little bit, okay, now it's less, right? If I expand it out even more, now it's even less. Okay. I've got big monitors at home, so I'm going to go to roughly what I figure is a laptop size. Actually, a little bit bigger than a laptop screen. That's kind of the way I like to view my lens through on it. And again, Google reviews. So there's good that are on here. I like having the Google reviews. That's a good conversion tool as well because people want to see that. Could be an auto slider as well, but I have to click on it in order to see the review.
So this looks like it's a plugin, but I truly I don't like at all that it says this customer did not write a review.
Just
You
a
can
5-star.
Yeah, you can usually set your preferences on any plugin to be able to say specific things, whether it's don't include reviews that don't have a written response, or only show 5-star reviews. That's usually an option too. In this case, they've got a tremendous amount of reviews. They've got almost 200 reviews out of 4.9. So they're doing great from that standpoint. But let's make sure that it actually, again, lines up and makes sense.
Though I'd agree to that. So I'm going to move that over here. Sarah Giardo made a comment, talk about their phone number placement. We already mentioned that, but their domain as well, synergygeo.com, right? And so I'm going to assume that they're probably big in geothermal, given Synergy Geo, but there is no aspect of that in terms of matching that brand continuity. If it's Synergy Heating and Cooling, might look at something a little bit different from a domain perspective. So,
well, and if geothermal is an important part, why is it hiding under the more?
Right.
Yep. If that's an important part of your business, then let's make it an important part of your business.
Yeah. So it's in their logo. You can read it really small, geothermal / heating, cooling. So big part of your business, then it should be up on the menu bar at the top. So,
but I do love,
reviews
and I will give them a big shout out for this. You're actually using a lot of your photos. I love the team photo at the top. That is a trust building signal when it comes to consumers. Get more photos from your own company. Like that is fantastic. Do more of that.
Yep. One thing I would do different on a photo is all matching pants, all matching shirts. Brings more cohesiveness to it. But I love the fact that there's actual team photo. That is phenomenal. That is great work there. So nice work on that.
There's a good, better, best there.
Right, exactly. So the Google reviews, but then there's testimonials here. All right, so it's kind of doubling up on it.
Right.
The one thing that I wanted to quickly show, just from an SEO perspective, this is one of the tools. I think it's SEO Meta in one click. There's another one called SEO Minion. I don't think I actually have the API turned on, but this shows just in a brief thing of the title, right? So we talked about the title and the search earlier on what it should say, and this is just home, right? And so there's
not popping out.
Correct. It is not popping up. You can see it up here. It's home. Where you look at this one, #1 AC and heating service in Phoenix, Arizona, Mountainside Air. Great. Well, good job on that one. So that would be one thing there. I'm not going to talk too much about the description and keywords and all that. I just wanted to point that out, as well as there does not appear to be an H1 header on here either, which is an SEO and website building. It could be on other pages, so I'll just leave that off of there. Well, actually, let's take a quick look. Let's go to the AC repair page. So cooling and AC does not appear there's an H1 title on this one either. And so those are some of the SEO basics and also website building. 101 is having this content hierarchy set up the right way and matching into some of those. So the one thing I did want to take a look at is mobile. So I'm going to reload this page on a mobile simulator. I think it's called Mobile Simulation Tool is all that it is. And now you can actually choose your different devices. Some of them are paid, clearly. So I tend to go to the Google Pixel 5 because, well, that's just the type of phone that I have. So, but you can see there's pro versions, right? So you can get it on here. I do like the Google Pixel 5 myself because it's a little bit smaller of a screen. So you're going to see a little bit more of a condensed version on what it looks like. Okay. So looking on here, this is the mobile view. Again, this is like 99% accurate to what it is. There's no easy click to call. This button is clickable, which is good, but it doesn't stick with it throughout the entirety of it. Also, the picture, while the team photo is good, can almost have a little bit of a movement and a resize over, so the van is centered on the photo itself. And it could be just the way that this. So again, caveat on that it could just be the app and the software. So, but again, a lot of the same things apply that we talked about on the desktop page to the mobile page. It's more or less the same shit, just in a different view.
Right. Okay. Good spacing on the buttons and a good size, I think, on all of those. Text font, I think, is okay as well. It might be a tad small, but it's not terrible. The one thing I will say with the buttons, though, is you want to make sure that you're varying up what it is you're asking someone to do. If you just keep saying find out more, 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 it's not helping you in any way, shape, or form. You want to communicate to the customer what it is that they're actually going to be doing when they click that button.
Makes sense. I like that. So good catch. That's why there's two of us. All right. Next one.
So yeah, main things, and sorry, I don't know the name of whoever it is that submitted this, but number one, I would say right off the bat, make sure you've got a nice heading at the beginning of your website above the fold, and I would make this change immediately, right? Synergy Heating and Cooling, your #1 provider for heating and cooling and geothermal, right? And now it's big and bold, and then use your orange. You've got a brilliant color of orange that's going to pop off the page. It's going to grab someone's attention right away. Have that in the top with 2 buttons there, one for a call, one for a contact us now, maybe a form fill right beside it, but utilize those conversion actions immediately so you can get someone to call you.
Yep. One other thing, Sarah pointed this out, their copyright 2018, so that should be updated to 2024 for it. Just it's a small thing. That's not necessarily conversion rate optimization. That's just website building. And again, there's a lot more that I would go into specifically from like a website build perspective. We're looking at the general aesthetics of everything that we have.
I will also note as well, the fact that it says powered by GoDaddy, I'm guessing they might have even built this themselves, in which case you actually did a pretty good job. Yeah, any technician that builds a site and it looks like that, for the most part, you did a pretty great job. It's just a matter of doing these little things now, these marketing hacks to be able to get more results out of it.
Yep. This one didn't load, but I did want to get to the speed test. So we'll see if that can load while I'm over here. So GT metrics, the thing that I like about this is it shows kind of the almost a waterfall in that time to interactive and full load time. I don't put a huge weight particularly in GT metrics. I do look at it though, because I like to see this time to interactive and load time for it. And so a little bit slow. I'd like to see that in half at minimum to see if you can get there. The other one, this is more of an SEO server thing. So time to first byte. And so Google has mentioned, okay, we're not really concerned much about this, but we want to show, and a couple things that they're looking at. Time to first byte is one of them. TTFB, their first content painful and their largest content painful. So it sees if it starts to load really quickly. So if you have this thing starting to populate sooner, even if you have a longer load time, it's telling Google, okay, consumers can see the stuff interacting right away. It might be a good experience. And those are kind of the layman's terms of it. And we see this over here on this test as well, from some of the ones that are in the US. These are all green. That's super fast and that's super good. So not surprised if it's hosted on specifically GoDaddy itself. In terms of the page speeds from here, so mobile. So this is where we talked a little bit about what you can do to increase your page speed. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do down here in order to increase your page speed. I'm not going to talk about it, too technical for today's webinar, but to see a 60 on mobile,
yeah, most of it's going to look like hieroglyphics, so it's all good.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that says new. You can hover over and it shows you a bar. Interesting. So the 60 on mobile, really good, by the way. If you can get 60 on mobile, you're batting pretty good. Desktop 93, phenomenal. If you're over 90 on desktop, super happy. Your page speeds are phenomenal. So great load time on that itself. All right, mountainside cooling and heating. What jumps off to you right now, Evan?
Great brand. Love the smiling face. The free quote online is in a really weird spot. Love the phone number in the top corner, but should be a little bit bigger, in my opinion. Actually grab someone's attention there. The book online, love that it's bright orange. Again, would probably have it be a little bit bigger because I want, again, where do you want attention to go? What is it that you want people to be doing? How do you want them to interact with your website? To me right now, the message here is I want people to get a free online quote. That's where I'm trying to drive people. That's why it's in the center and the biggest button on the page. That's what stands out to me. I'm curious if you go to your full screen side.
There it is.
Oh, and the beautiful House Call Pro book online tool.
And it actually, it redirects off the page. So House Call Pro has I think they're out of beta now, where they have it. So it's a pop-up on the website and it keeps the page on there, the people on the page. So that would be one. The one thing that with it, that I know you're going to see what happens here. So obviously it goes here, free online quote. Looks fine.
That's
yeah.
what I was curious on.
So I'm just going to click somewhere and I'm going to click
so that's
back.
where you need to look at your page breaks and have a conversation with your developer around your page breaks to make sure that it's adjusting to the right size of screen. So when someone's on a desktop that's got a really big screen, it looks like it does when Thad had the full screen. Full screen there, but then also when they go to a laptop screen, that it adjusts properly, and when they're on the mobile device, it adjusts properly. So just check your page breaks.
Yep. The other one too, and I noticed this yesterday. So if you actually see the very top bar, right? So it scrolls down, and so this is where that book online should be, and it's broken. So you saw earlier when I scrolled down, the header went away, and then this is stuck up here, like the headers here. It's there. There's a caching issue, a breakage issue. Something needs to be looked at to be able to fix on that. It happens, by the way, guys, that it does happen to sites, right? Our sites, it happens to ours too, right? It's normal that things break on it. It's just a matter of are you looking at it to be able to fix it? Okay. See, now it's back to this, right? Right. And so now it's back
to what what's interesting
here,
though, is that when it was breaking, the whole menu was coming down with you, right? It was the whole sticky header, but now it's just the book online that's sticky. So that's really strange. Something is definitely up there. Go get that fixed.
Yeah. So I love this, by the way. So we're the pinnacle of comfort. Choose Mountainside Air for peak heating and cooling service. That's what we talked about earlier about having this matching everything in terms of the continuity and having a little bit more pop and oomph there for it. So I love having going into the services. I feel that this here is oddly placed, but that could be
a little
better
wordy.
at the bottom, a little wordy, but I like the services that are here. You have the AC install that is clickable, by the way. I can hover over. You can actually see my cursor change as well. It goes from the little arrow to the finger. You can see that that's clickable there. The icons are even clickable too, so nice work on that. I love when a lot of times people will miss the icon being clickable and the word will be clickable. And so good job on that. I like seeing that. I like the icons too, and I like the simplicity to see what these are. Okay. So you come in and you're like, oh, AC repair. Okay. Makes sense. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to click on AC repair. Right. And then it goes over to the AC repair page. That's on here. The other part with the above the fold. So now that we're here, because I clicked on it, I would love to see this being above the
Higher.
fold, it can be easily
Yeah.
added here, or even the truck lower and this up here. I get the idea of having the trucks on here as images. We used to do it. We've moved away from it to try to put more
Well,
of
and
a plainer text to grab that attention in.
it's a great way to like if you don't have all of your actual images of your company yet because you just did a rebrand or something like that, you haven't gotten out to do a photo shoot. Okay, so now we can use the truck instead. That's fine. But let's at least split that header, have the truck on one side, the text on the other, so it's above the fold. And again,
Correct.
actions. What is it that you want them to do? Book a
Correct.
call, book online. And when it comes to a page like this, do you actually want them to be sending a free online estimate? Is that where you really want to be sending them? Or is it purely to book a call, right? And adjusting based off the page needs. When you're talking about an installation page, now we want to do that free online estimate because they're already interested in getting a new system set up. So
Nope, makes sense. The other part too is the contact form and the side menu on the side. The contact form is hidden almost over here. Like I had to really look to see it because my eyes are drawn over to here, right? And you think about
right.
where your eye is drawn on a website, even dumbifying it down to just think about, okay, you have to almost let your mind go and think about, okay, what am I actually looking at here? Well, it looks here, and you almost miss this contact form. So if your goal is to have contact forms, or even I think almost all websites, unless you're driving people to phone call or book online, should have a contact form. It should be easily able to find. In this case, it's over on the left-hand side, so it's a little bit difficult. So I would look at getting that adjusted as well.
Can you go to your full screen on that page?
Sure.
I just want to see what it actually looks like.
Oh, and look, so here's the difference as two on full screen.
Right.
So same thing.
Yep.
So, but again, this is why I look at it at a smaller size, because 24-inch monitor versus what I'm going to estimate is about a 17-inch monitor, right? It should be even smaller. It should almost be like a 15-inch, right? You want to go to a true laptop, we'll go a little bit smaller, but I go a little bit bigger just to give some grace room on there. So there's this up here.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is the resolution, right? And this is the page breaking. So like on the bigger screen, this is over to the left. And then these were over to the right. Fine. Which looked really good. But now on the smaller one, you'd have this, but then center these. Yep. Make it easier for the eyes. So that's cut off there.
Broken too.
Yeah. So I think that the website there's something broken on the website, which is it is what it is. And again, it happens. But I like by the way, the one thing that I like on this site is the use of white space and the use of ease to see things, like ignoring this up here. See if I can get it to come back with the House Call Pro at the top. There we go. So the one thing that I like is the use of white space to be able to draw the eyes in. So like I'm scrolling and there's good spacing and good padding here and margins behind it. And so now you're like, oh, this is actually really easy to see. It's literally the only thing that's on my page. I love that, right? It's good use of spacing on there. Same thing with here, right? The buttons are very like book today, start saving. They've got their blog on here.
And again, utilizing that bright orange color that they have in their branding, and it's an accent color. It's not even their primary color, but using that because it is something that catches your eye. It's very smart.
Yep. I'm going to run this guy while we look at mobile, just to see. Oops, I don't want to retest that one. And we'll do this guy too, just for gets and shiggles. All right. Mobile. So looking at the mobile, so I got the click to call button up here, the circle icon with the phone in it. Fine too, right? I mean, my preference is to say call today, but the icons work just as good as well. That's personal preference. If you actually look really closely, this icon is actually smaller than this icon over here. It's very this is nitpicky. Yeah, it's super nitpicky. I see it because it's bigger on my screen, right? It's just, again, it's one of those things. It is clickable. I can tell by hovering over top.
But again, now the header isn't sticky and that book online button is. So what is it that you're trying to drive people to do? And now your logo's gone, right? So.
Yep. And that could be something that you want. When I scroll back up, like there's ways to do this. And so if you're to scroll back up and this were to pop up and you scroll back up, cool, fine.
Mhm.
That's neat because
Yep.
consumers are conditioned to start scrolling back up to the menu. But as soon as they start scrolling back up, if it pops down and it drops down, now you can see that, right? So those would be the big things. Oh, there's
Oh,
sliders for this.
I got a point on this one. I
Yeah.
like those sliders. Those are good. Font's a little small.
Mhm.
The font on the section above that is much better, but there's no padding on the left side. So see how it's so tight to the screen on the left side? You want to be
Mhm.
careful of that because on some devices that'll end up screwing up. So
Mm.
give
Yeah.
yourself some space there.
Yeah. Yeah, and or justify the font or center the font instead of
Yeah.
left align or right align, center or justify
Yeah.
personal preference. So
Again, it's just something that it just looks odd as you're scrolling it, right? And
yeah.
that's the main thing. If for any of you guys that are doing this or girls that are doing this, anything that looks weird when you're on a website, like make note of it and say, oh, like this didn't feel right to me. Make sure that that's not on your site. Literally, if you
Mhm.
just reverse engineer your own experience, if you're in your ideal customer demographic, then just reverse engineer what it is that you do and what your behavior is on another website. Do that on your site and you're good to go.
The slider, I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. I don't like it because it
Mhm.
doesn't list the services as easy. Sliders for reviews, great. Sliders for services, not so much, in my
Yeah.
opinion, just because, and it's taking a little bit too long,
Most
right?
people don't click through, right?
Correct. Correct. So that's why
And
I try to
that's
take
the
that to
issue with
remove it.
having that being so wordy, right?
Mhm.
If you shorten up and condense that paragraph there to be really nice and short, now it allows you to just stack them on top of each other and it doesn't make the page too long.
No, 100%. So, the other thing too, since you pointed out the font, is there's such a difference in all the font sizes, all
Mhm.
throughout this, and maybe it's just the size, but the style of this font almost looks a little bit different than the style of this font, and it could just be the
Right.
size of it. I'm just trying to find the word. No, the A's are the same, so I think it is the same. It's just the size, right? And then this size is different than what this size is, which is different than this size. So again, those
Right.
small things that it could be fixed just by, it could be a caching issue on the site. It could be something broken. You reset it, and hey, away you go, and it could look normal
And
from there.
same thing there with the reviews are getting cut off.
Yep,
You got to
and they're
scroll on a
scrollable.
review.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and it looks like 7 days ago. So that might just be built into the site. It might not be
Yeah, it's
pulling
just a plugin.
direct. Yeah, it's just actually I don't know if that's a plugin. It could just be designed this way for a slider to be able to
Mhm.
pull in ones that were there and just with a random number on there. So the
Mhm.
caution and the caveat is 6 months ago, and there's only a handful of reviews on there from a user experience and a conversion rate experience, not as profound as seeing 6 days ago in
Right.
all recent reviews, right? It's just a small thing. So if you don't have a ton of reviews because you're new or you just haven't built it up yet, or they're not coming consistently, I would probably not put how long ago they were until you have that cadence and that consistency, because then it's going to
Right.
match up with what they see in the Google Business Profile. Okay.
Right.
All right, let's move on to page speeds. Look, there's more that we could spend on here, but I want to check out page speeds. So we're on mobile. Look, 93 on
Look
mobile. Wow, that is
fantastic.
fan-fucking-tastic. So, and on desktop, guess what? 98, fan-fucking-tastic. So great page speed. So I'm going to assume that on the GT metrics, she's loading quick. So yeah, look at that. Fully loaded in in under half a second. It's 0.3
So
seconds.
here's a question for you, Thad,
Wow.
because you can see there on the image, it says fully loaded, but the actual hero image in the background is not loaded. So why would it
Correct.
tell you that?
That would be something called a lazy load. And so it depends on when the user is on the site. So if I were to refresh, it's going to be fast because I'm here. So you see like everything was there. Sometimes the images are delayed and loaded slow. So if we were to go, oh no, I have to share a new screen. That would be part of it. And so that doesn't penalize you. Or if you're using something like a Nitro Pack or a WP Rocket, which are page speed enhancers, they're doing certain things on the back end to be able to cache and load limit images later. And so it's not, some people think, well, that's gray hat or black hat. Well, no, they're you're not Google says, okay, how fast is your site load, right? And so that would be where you see some of those that are happening because they're just delayed and lazy loading it from what you see on these here, right? First content, painful, time to interactive, sort of a thing.
Cool.
Cool. And TTFB. So this is one where it's actually kind of a little bit different than what we're seeing on GT metrics, right? They're seeing their time to first byte as 82 milliseconds, where here it's kind of all over the map. So this to me is they're using an optimizer rather, like a Nitro Pack or WP Rocket, to be able to get these scores. Again, nothing wrong with it, because they care about how quickly a page loads, where this is your based on your servers and where it's hosted at. And so a little bit different. So a little bit of a mix match on that. So worth investigating ish. And I say ish because they're not red, they're yellow. And is it loading fast and great? So, all right. How many more do we want to do? We're at the hour mark.
Yeah, we're going deep on a couple of these. I'm having fun with it, but
all right. Well, let's do one of ours. I'm curious.
all right.
I'm curious. All right. So, and Evan, if you do have to go to the little boys' room, feel free to step out and go to the little boys' room. So, he sent me a message that said he had to go pee. So, so this is one of our clients, right? This is Jason Julian, one of our newer builds and what we've done here. And I mean, I already see things that like the widget down here was one that I saw. It wasn't there. It's not our widget. It looks like Podium, I want to think. I don't actually know. But anyways, so that's a hover button.
The fact
right?
that it's
So
just a straight purple dot looks really weird.
Yeah. So, so that would be, and I'm hovering over top of it. So that's likely on us to be able to look and fix that. So again, in the transparency, right, where we have things that we do that we need to work on, right? We're not a perfect organization. No organization is. But here's what I like about this is, so you actually see in the background. So this actually blends what Synergy did here. Okay, so they have the photo with the folks over here. So they've got their own user photo, but then they've blurred it and put a opaque transparency-ish to it. And so they put an overlay. That's the word I'm looking for. And now it's your number one HVAC company in Harbor Springs, Arkansas. We've got the Google ratings here. This actually is a little off-centered, so one should be higher because they're not matched up. It could just be, nope, that's just how it works. So, and it looks good there, and it has all of this above the fold of what a person needs to look at. So like when you look at this for the very first time, what's the first thing that you see? Where does it guide your eyes?
Yeah, the heading is what jumps out at me. The reviews are what jumps out at me, and then the phone number in the top right jumps out at me.
Right.
Everything
and so
in
when
orange.
people, and I forget the term for it. It's like that. It's in nature. It goes in a circle and it goes to the right. Right. You know what I'm talking about? Eric Thomas showed a post about it, and I'm forgetting the name of it, of what it is. But it's you start in the middle, and your eyes kind of work in a circle in and around to the right. And so when you think about how that works, okay, well that's the first thing you see, and then you kind of see the Google reviews, sure it's up, but then you go up to the phone number, right? So now it's number one HVAC company in Harbor Springs. You see the Google reviews, you see the phone number, you're like, okay, cool. I might even just call them, right? It's clickable as well. You can see the cursor change over top, and then they have their Comfort Club. They're pushing their memberships as well, and it's also got the schedule service today. It goes to their contact page in this case, just by the way that it is. The header is sticky heading. We actually have a new style header, and I wasn't going to do this, but I wanted to see if I can find it. No, I'll find that over. I'm bringing over on the other side when you start talking. So the scrolling down. So now we have their popular services that are here and their icons, right? So we talked about earlier about, okay, how do you simplify some of these things and what a user is wanting to do? And some people might say this is manipulating the clicks to be able to enhance your engagement rate on Google Analytics. Well, no. If they're landing on an HVAC company, but they're coming for air conditioning, why don't they be able to easily find what they're looking for? I'm looking for air conditioning. I'm looking for heating, air quality, or I'm looking for a comfort consult, right? And so now you're giving them that information to be able to easily find. And then we have the form, again, same thing. What I like about this is it draws their eyes and pushes it over to the form to be able to say, oh, get in touch with us, boom. And now it's pushed it over of what we see there. The one thing that I noticed I would
like to see some orange in that, not the whole thing, because you got orange on top and orange on the bottom.
Yep.
But some type of orange, either the button being orange or the lettering even in get in touch with us, something like that, where there's something that's going to grab your attention.
Yeah, and you can pull it in. You can even do it with an accent around the arrow here, too.
Yep.
Just because there's a lot of orange below and a lot of orange up top, so you don't want to have too much here because now it's gonna take away what it's gonna do. The one thing about this arrow is that it's I don't know if you can see it on your screen. It looks pixelated and grainy, so it's not crisp and it's not clean. That needs to be cleaned up as well. And I noticed it up here on these lines, the crisp and the pixelation here as well. The other part is if you look really closely, these lines that come down on the bottom, there's a straight line all the way. They don't extend all the way up. So there's a straight line all the way across, right? So those would be a couple, those are nitpicky things, right? To be able to clean up the crisp of it. It's just a matter of how the files are exported and saved and reloaded up into the website build. So a couple things that I do there.
One thing I will say is that there are a lot of elements in here that are tying back to the brand. And this is something we talked about early on, is how do we create that continuity between the truck wrap, the TV ad, the Facebook post, the blog post, right? All of these different pieces, how do we tie it back into the website? And we're able to do that by using those accents that KickCharge used when they did this logo, tying that back in. And then also the elements from the van wrap and tying those in. Those lines that you saw, those are on the van wrap. So we want to tie it all back in.
Yep. And this, and somebody might look at this like, well, this van color looks different than this orange. It could be just the photo and the way that it is, because this is actually their brand colors, right? We build off of the RGB codes for it. And so, but that's where that lies in, right? With these lines and those elements that you'd mentioned to and alluded, we're bringing those in. You can see what's here, right? This little wrap or the design is fairly similar to what we have there. It's similar to what we have up here. And so you're seeing that. Button pops off the page too, as well, with the color pop, the color transition that you see. I would like to see more spacing in between these sections myself, to be able to increase the spacing. So now when you're here, it's not bad. I mean, if you're in a little bit bigger of a screen, it fits a little bit better, right? If I move that down, well, I'm just manipulating it, right? So that's something that to keep in mind on it. Again, you can do that by utilizing this type of a header. So this is, it disappears, right? So you see it disappeared, and now I'm going to scroll up and there it pops up again, right? So that's a new feature for us, but also something that somebody can do on their website build. So if they're scrolling down, we're conditioned to scroll up to find the header, and then boom, now you see it, right? It's there. So that could be achieved.
Which is great, especially if you've got really thick headers on menu bars, because there's nothing more frustrating when you're, especially on a mobile device, when you're scrolling and trying to read a page and they've got a footer menu on the bottom of it that's stuck, and they've got a header menu on the top, and you're trying to read off a section that big. So
this I like the drop downs on here. I actually don't like the color scheme of it, because I find this is getting lost in amongst the teal on there. So it could have been hard to read. Yeah. So I would have changed that a little bit. It's funny that you see these all after the fact. And like, I remember actually QAing and doing this design myself. And now I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess here we are. But again, this is the transparency part, right? This is why I wanted to add one of our own clients in there, because things that we see and the things that we do, we're not 100% perfect either. So there's some elements,
we're making changes and tweaks to constantly improve, right?
100%. But I feel the elements of the conversion rate optimization components of things are here. And that's the big part. Consumers aren't going to notice this being, and I keep hovering over top of that. That's my fault. Consumers aren't going to notice what we just noticed here, right? They're going to see, is it easy for me to navigate and find the information that I'm looking to find? So, like this again, now you see the continuity here, right? These are the same sort of a thing as what's happened up here, right? Same colors, in the same continuity of what we're bringing, what we're pulling forward. But now it's just a little bit about the company and that. They have their financing. I'm scrolling over quickly because I wanted to get to this. So this is the review, one of the review widgets that a person can use. And I talked a little bit about this in some of the other ones. Now you can see how it's pulling in current. This is all automatic. It's all current. I mean, there's the read more, which is fine, but it actually says read more on here. But then I was pulling it one day ago, 7 days ago, 1414. It's got their total number of reviews, 438 reviews on 4.9. You can actually see I can actually edit the widget because that's our site.
Because you're logged into it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm logged into it and it's our site, right? So it can actually see it, so I can edit it. I'm not going to go over what that looks like as well. And you can also load more as well. And I didn't see some of that on the other ones. So right here, from a conversion rate aspect, if somebody wants to go on a deep dive on Google reviews, well, they can. They don't even have to leave the website. Now you're getting increased load time. Okay.
And then they have even,
right? They're all even. It's all spaced nicely. And then you come to here and their areas of service, and they've got them all highlighted. Hey, there's location pages built out for all of those places. So that's an SEO thing. Phone number here, again, you can see it. We're sprinkling it in. Even though it's up here, we're still putting it in here, right? Because we want to see it. The other part that I didn't see it until now, I'm just mentioning it here, is that some people say call us and it's a button. Well, this is how you change from your desktop and your mobile, right? Desktop, if it says call us, people don't know that I can click, I can pick an app, and I can send this right to my phone. I mean, I know that. Not many people do. So I could do that, but most people will dial this number here. So making sure that you're putting, if it's a call button, on the button, actually listing out the phone number. So, and then some other things that they have on the go here, and then down into their footer, which is good there. Let's quickly do.
And again, it's sprinkling in those trust signals, right? That's what those different logos and icons are all about. And then keeping the brand continuity there too.
Okay. Let's run this while we look at. Oops. Analyze that and analyze this guy. And we are here. All right, let's look at the mobile view of it. So what we have here, again, we have the telephone button up here. Again, people know what it is, and the hamburger, and then the menu. But here's what happens: is it actually look at that, neat. Scroll down, and now it has the schedule today, and it also has the call now. So we're actually hitting them twice. So in case they can't figure that out, the one caution on this size of a button is make sure you test this on an actual device to see if your fingers can actually get it or not, and it's not clicking on something else. So that would be one thing that I would make sure of if they're that small on here. But again, same thing with the same elements where everything's above the fold and what you want them to see. The other part too is looking at this actually on a device. Okay, so this font size might seem a little bit small on a computer, but pull it up on an actual mobile device to see if you can read it without any zoom on. That's the key. That's the test, right? And making sure that it's good there. And same things of what we had. So we're not really missing too much in terms of that. This background image here is, you can see it come down, and I don't know what's going on right here. If you look really closely, you can see underneath the comfort console, it's got this weird design thing that's happening here. So that would be something that I would look at touching up. The form, as you see, is a little bit different. It's in a vertical format versus the horizontal, just because, well, it's a mobile device. So the one thing I would say is the button here too tends to blend in to the background. It's not horrible. One thing I haven't done in a long time is I haven't looked at things in grayscale. So if you ever want to see how things pop off ish, look at it in grayscale. That's going to see a bunch of different other elements on a site that you might have missed if you put it into grayscale. So connecting with us, they have their phone number here, so it's good. Things are great on the mobile. Again, all of the same things. I wanted to scroll down really quickly to the Google reviews part because I wanted to show what it looked like on a mobile device. And so you can see same thing. There's only 2 that are showing, so not as many as it was on the desktop. So we're showing 2, and then there's the load more. Should they want to load more, they can infinitely scroll through those sorts of things. So a weird gap here, by the way, in between Pangburn and Edgemont. So that could be just as that these were, it looked like on the desktop, this was on the left side, these were on the right side. Yeah, and so it was on the page break. So just making sure that that's cleaned up a little bit. Again, we still got the phone number, right? We still just have the call, and it's the same button for mobile responsiveness. Makes it easy to be able to blend that. So those are the couple things that I wanted to point out on the mobile. Is there anything that you wanted to hit on mobile?
No, it's just the button colors was the main one. Making sure that those are popping off the page. Sure.
Here's the other part. So I wanted to look, where's one thing that I want to look at on the bigger screen? So now I forget where I was going to go. Let's just do this. And so we'll do the responsiveness. Here's an easy way, by the way. Not every website builder does this. Okay. So depending on what your website builder is, they won't actually go all the way into a mobile view like that. Okay. So that's why I like to use, some people will use this as a test. I just like to use the actual widget or just going on your device itself. So yeah. Oh, menu. That was the other one. So you can see that this is a very clean menu. There's not like the heating, there's not the air conditioning on here because there's something called a mega menu. So this is a mega menu that we alluded to earlier from a brand perspective or a design perspective. So we actually have their air conditioning, their heating, their air quality, and their comfort console here. And then we've listed their services. So this is good if you have a lot of services that you want to put onto a particular page to be able to do a mega menu. It's just an easier way to find it. Now I can actually scroll in around here because you mentioned before the submenu underneath the submenu. Some people would do services and then they would have air conditioning. They would list out air conditioning, heating, air quality, comfort consult. Then when you hovered over air conditioning, it'd be another menu off to the right-hand side of it. I like the mega menu aspect of doing that better just for ease of use and the consumer experience that happens. And same thing with the service areas. That's how it's built out for those sorts of things. The about us, all those things are on there. So a couple items that I want to mention. All right, page speeds. All right, on mobile, 75. So again, on mobile at a 75, I'm not going to bat an eye at that. That's a pretty good score for a mobile device. Obviously, being over 90 would be ideal, but sometimes it's just not possible. 75 for a mobile page speed score is still pretty solid. And then on desktop, 61. So that needs to be looked at and cleaned up by our team to say, hey, how can we get that above 90? Because I know that we have sites that are batting over 90 for those sorts of things. So GT metrics, take a look at that. So full load time, 2.2 seconds. So again, these are just indicators, right? You go, okay, well, that was a 63, but then I come over here and it's loading, fully loaded under 2 seconds. That's what users care about. Okay, great. So looking at the different tools to be able to leverage and utilize those sorts of things. So if they're under a second, they can start interacting with the site even less than that. That's a key indicator of a good website. And then time to first byte, we're all greens across the board as well. So a little bit higher, but still green, still under where you need to be at from a time to first byte perspective. So a couple items that I would change, but overall, not bad.
Sure hope so. Jeez.
I would sure hope so. I mean, this is, I'm not going to go through that one. So we have two more. I don't know if we want to get through them or what your hankering is here, Evan.
You know what? Why don't we do a video audit that we can send to these guys? Because we're coming up on 90 minutes here. And yeah, want to make sure we're respectful of people's time.
Awesome. Cool. Well,
and my bladder.
Yeah, no worries. So those two, we will do a video audit. We'll send those over to you guys, so you guys have that. I'm sure that from this webinar, you're probably going to see some of that information anyways of what we went through and what we looked at. Apologize, we didn't quite get to your site. We went a little bit longer on them than I was anticipating, but it was a lot of fun. We just started going, we started talking. So we'll send those over. Don't worry.
And tag Ryan shooting this, and we'll see if he felt like we were holding back at all.
Okay. I mean, we didn't swear. We swore, but not like we didn't say this is fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
There wasn't a need on any of those ones to actually say that. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah. But of course, if you thought there was value in this, or if you have questions, by the way, you don't want to ask them in a comment, you want an audit on your site, there's two ways that you can go ahead and get in touch with us to be able to take a look at that, to say, hey, and we'll record a Loom video. We'll send it over to you. We'll put out things. We'll do more of an SEO aspect too when we do our audits as well. So we'll go through and we'll look at your URL structure. We'll look at your rankings. We'll look at more pages from it. So you can send us a text, 719-824-1377. Just say, hey, give me an audit in your website and your name. And the best way to get that over to you, we'll send that your way. Or if you just want to go ahead and fill out the marketing analysis form, it's onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis. Will be ways to get in touch with you. We will have a handout. I didn't get that prepared. So it will be, you have to text web. Don't do it yet. So if you're watching this live, give it a little bit, because we've got to set it up. Because we're going to take what we did today and we're going to put the handout in there. It will be if, it's ready. Okay. I just got to set up the workflow. So there we go. If you text website handout to, and I'll put this in here, website hand, I got to capitalize that. There we go. Should have prepared this at the beginning. My bad. Website handout to 855-968-4116. Different numbers. We should probably just have them the same. You can also text either one of those numbers. Call us or text us. It doesn't matter. It goes to the same place. So text website handout to 855-968-4116. We'll give you a copy of the handout from today's webinar.
Sweet. A lot of information. I think a lot of really great action steps for people as well. Again, if you want a second opinion, this isn't a sales pitch. We're not going to try and sell you shit. That's not the point. The point is to get everyone better. We believe that rising tides raise all ships. When we raise the quality of standard that we expect out of a website, and we don't do it by trying to sell you on why you should use us, and instead just give you information that you can take to your marketing company, get them to fix it too, everyone's going to get better as a result of it. So by all means, reach out, second opinion audit. We'll give you some feedback and some questions that you can bring back to your marketing company and help you out. And again, there's some real good action steps out of this as well, where you can start scrolling through your own website, picking it apart, looking at what it is that you can do to improve, and then start asking questions to your marketing company. That's the main thing, is just get curious, right? People talk about, ignorance is bliss, and it's not. Ignorance is pain. Because if you look at your website and it doesn't meet these certain criterias, it's going to mean that you're not getting as many phone calls as you could from the visitors that you're getting to your website, which means you're not getting at bats for your CSR team, for your sales team, for your technicians to get into the home. And that's what it's all about, is just presenting opportunities. And if you're not fulfilling that on the website level, you're not even getting a chance to get a contact with this customer. So that's what this is all about. It's just trying to get you more at bats.
And if you like this webinar and you want to join us for our next one, next webinar is optimizing your ad spend. The PPC for home services on March 21st at 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So we'll look forward to seeing you.
And
there.
This is going to be an exciting one. I'm super stoked for it because it's been something we've been focusing on heavily. Is minimizing wasted spend. And it's a big issue in the industry. It's a big issue in the home services space. So making sure that you're getting your PPC budget on point and your operations on point, because if your operations aren't on point, you're wasting your ad spend as it is.
100% agree to that. So, well,
sweet. I saw you were texting, so I just figured I'd keep talking while you're.
Yeah, I was writing a note.
Yeah,
I just writing a note. I was writing a note to Stacy. So we're all
awesome.
Good, so. Cool.
For everyone that attended, thank you so much. Make sure you text that number, get your website handout, and we will see you in 1 month's time as we dive into PPC and try and help you elevate your business on that level. And
Cheers.
Until next time.
If you like what you heard today, you can hit us up and get a marketing analysis done on your business to know if you're on pace or if you're off pace. Head on to the link that's on your screen, onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis. Book a time with us and we'll go over and give you all of the details, no obligations, by the way, on whether your marketing is on point or whether it's not. Of course, we also want to see you on our socials. We got our Facebook, we got our Instagram, we got our Threads, we got our TikTok. Give us a follow.